that's it. You need not to give your excuse to yourself that you don't have resources to utilize. So probably the smartphone is the easiest way when you drive down to your office. Me usually, I believe when we drive down to our offices, when we are sitting idle traveling, we read those articles and try to read as much as we can. So try to indulge in those lines and try to develop such things. Even if you read the headlines on your smartphones, that will help. So there are resources available. You have to figure out which resources and when you would like to inculcate yourself in those resources and to move on for the studies. Right, Mangesh?
I won't comment on that because I'm the one who don't read books. And sorry, book I read, but not the newspaper I read. But I promised Vishnu and Prabhu that I will start reading along with all those who are not reading.
My screen is a very small screen, but I try to read at least news headlines when I move from my home to office on a daily basis, so that I can get updated myself too before my boss starts asking something. So this is the way life works, because you have to be calculative, you have to be proactive. People, you should know in advance what the person is going to ask and where you will put yourself and answer those things properly. Right?
Sorry, I'm going back to the slide. Great managers ask questions. Yes, they ask questions, but I would like to add one more thing about great managers. They always turn out great. You know, your first appearance, the first look that you give, it makes a major difference. Fortunately or unfortunately, that's the kind of the world we live in. You know, when you go for a job interview, when you go for a meeting, when you're representing your company in front of other clients, or you go to meet your vendors or anyone for that matter. I'm not saying that you have to be dressed very fancily or wear big brands or anything. Whatever you're wearing, you should wear well-ironed clothes, polished shoes, the basic things, which we kind of forget in this world, It's like, acha chalta hai yaar, or I polish my shoes on the way in the station. So like in Bombay, everyone's like, okay, at the station you can get your shoes polished. But it does not happen. You have to be well turned out every time you go. That makes a difference. It does, especially in the industry I worked in. I service clients like Hindustan Unilever, Hershey's, Colgate, all these places. You go and it also gives you a lot of confidence, when you know you're well turned out. That's like also a great, a good thing about great managers is they're always well turned out and they're always punctual. I'm sorry I came late today, but I started back from Bombay. But you always have to be punctual for your meetings. That makes you a great manager. Very small things, but it does make a difference. You have to be, in fact, if you're going to meet at a second position, like you're meeting a client, where you're slightly at a lower distance, you have to convince the client and all, you always have to be 5 minutes early. That's the way you make an impact. These are small things which you have to keep in mind while interacting in the corporate world, because it makes a huge difference, huge difference. If there are two people who have everything, their skill sets are same, they're from good colleges, everything is same. But these are small things which will give you an upper hand over someone else. So just keep that in mind.
Here, one more thing I would like to add. There is very thin line of difference. Well dressed and get yourself noticed. So probably in this room, if I go back and I remember the Pumba t-shirt. Seriously. So you should know how you will get noticed to the people who you are meeting. So that is the way. These are the few things which will give you an edge when you will be going. You will always make yourself noticed to the people who you will be meeting and be discussing the things.
See what happens here is, suppose I as a person have learned many things in my life. I have my own experiences, and if I write a book, correct? She has her own set of experiences in her life. She writes a book, correct? So everybody has its own unique set of experiences. You don't know her experience of life, you don't know my experience of life, you don't know his experience of life. And if you start reading the books written by us, automatically you acquire wisdom. Am I right? Are you getting it?
Yes.
So we will be in a position to judge whether we are wrong or right.
Correct. See, because he has made many mistakes in life, I have made many mistakes in my life. So we put it on the book or whatever you read. For example, there is a book by Shailendra Singh. For example, there are many books.
I would like to add on that one. I remember Prabhu's quote. He said, I think it was a tagline somewhere, you can do anything but not everything. So I might try something and he might try something, but he writes that and I learn that. So you can do anything, but at the same time I can't do, I just have like maybe life of now expectancy 60 years, so 60 or 70 years. So I can't do everything in that span of time. So maybe I learned that from Prabhu. So that's the thing that I think I learned from him.
Yeah, correct. It was on my BBM message. BBM that caption. Correct. So the point is, try to learn from everybody. Like since here you will be learning from the peers, correct? But then now once we are in a job, right, we'll be learning from our peers. But nobody wants us to learn because everybody is competitive. Everybody wants to move ahead. So this is a good source to acquire wisdom. For example, if you read Dhirubhai Ambani's book, correct, what he has done in his life, you can get a snapshot of that. Snapshot of his life. Similarly, I am another you. This Dhanda. I'll talk about this book maybe 2 or 3 slides later.
Yeah.
Correct. So understood the message of acquiring wisdom.
We also refer these books, like Prabhu has referred me the third book of Mindfulness. So very good book, probably you can also. So you should also try to build those things in you where you can refer to your colleagues, and your colleagues also should trust your references and read those things.
In fact, it is said that this book, Two More Fights, is to be read every 6 months. Because every 6 months you mature. In the sense, your level of thinking would be increasing. Am I right? See, there is a saying, if you are not growing, that means you are reducing. If you are not growing, that means you are reducing. Are you getting it? So every 6 months, ideally you should grow. So your thinking would mature. So read this book. I will not go into depth of this book. Once you go into depth of this book,
How many of you read?
but then keep it a habit. If you feel if you have matured after 6 months, read again. It's a how much? 100-page book or 50
Yeah,
page
there is a summary also.
a summary also.
Probably for 18
Generally-
pages, if you read this,
Correct.
you will get to know whole book.
In fact, in my previous
So
organization,
that is what I read.
yeah, once you have read that book, that summary is enough. In my previous organization, that is Voltas, we took that printout and everybody on his desk had that printout. And I don't know if somebody has read can make a link with that book, the message of that book. He left the organization. He resigned after reading the book. And I'm quite positive, and now he's doing well. Okay, so people who have read it can link what I'm saying. People who have not read it should read it.
Yeah, I agree with Prabhu that every 6 months you mature, not 6 months, it's a continuous learning, you mature every day. That's why there are, I don't remember who said it, but someone said that there are 2 types of intelligence. One is born intelligence, second one is SAI, sight, that is socially acquired intelligence. So that grows every day. So every 6 months when you read that book, I haven't tried that, I'll try that. But every 6 months you read that book, maybe you will get a different perspective. So maybe start practicing that. I'll start practicing that.
Okay, I think so. My first statement was we are making the biggest blunder of not adhering to what is written here. Correct? And the last, I would say that line is do it religiously for 21 days. If somebody who has not read book in his life, book in his life, in the sense this kind of books or any kind of book except your academics, correct? Do it religiously for 21 days. 22nd day automatically it will happen. It is said that you can acquire a new habit or a change in your life if you do that thing for 21 days continuously. Not for 5 minutes, but justified time. So you feel you are convinced. Correct?
For next slide. So I just wanted to understand, are we making sense to you?
Yes.
Totally.
Yes.